hits or very much radio play, they've become one of dance music's most beloved outfits, both as DJs and live performers, with crazily impressive Spotify numbers and numerous sold-out parties as proof of their international popularity. Formed in 1996, the duo, Jim Barron and Chris Todd, released their first singles on the then painfully hip paper recordings before going on to add vocalist Danielle Moore and recording 8 albums, while also slowly building their reputation as consummate live performers as well as accomplished songwriters. As they enter their 30th year in the business, we reflected on a range of topics, from records that clear the floor, expanding their songwriting horizons, the joy of hardware like Space Echo and the Box of Uncertainty, DJing as a duo rather than solo, collaborating remotely, growing champion radishes, and mourning the death of their much-loved singer, Danielle Moore. Okay, you guys have been together for nearly 30 years then. Is that right? I think. What was the first? The first thing came out in 97 maybe?
96.
96.
So it's 30 years.
I mean, you know, it's quite unusual for people to stay together that long without killing each other. Both in music and in marriages as well occasionally. What's the secret? How have you managed to stay friends as well as sort of comrades in arms?
I don't know. I think it's a blend of the right personalities and getting to know each other's spreads, allowing each other room to do your thing. Those are the main bits, really. I mean, we've had our ups and downs. Started being plain sailing.
Yeah, I mean that's just. I think it's standard, really. I don't think you could have a 30-year relationship without having 2 bumps. But it's like.
But I think they were generally in the earlier days, weren't they? When we were younger and a bit more egotistical.
Yeah.
And I think as we've got older, we've eased.
I think the sort of. Every time I say trajectory, I always have to check myself. The trajectory of.
You've got that in early.
That's impressive. It's the way that our career, for want of a better word, has slowly kind of gone. We haven't kind of had like big success early days, and I think it's kind of helped kind of keep us a bit.
It's easy the pressure,
and basically work on that stress has been taken out of the equation in terms of our friendships. So we've kind of managed to kind of build our friendship on quite solid ground.
Yeah, we've all been on the same journey.
There's
nobody who's sort of hired hand. It's like we've all been sort of holding our hands and sort of pinching ourselves as we go.
It's a good point you make, actually, because there's so many people that you come across who've been successful very early that it does sort of turn you into a bit of a dickhead, doesn't it? And it's the dangerous trap.
I think it is. Yeah. It's
and also you're under immense pressure from like labels and stuff to do the same again. You have the same success, and that I imagine that can be really difficult to come back from.
Well, when you were at school and university, what was your ambition in terms of career? Did you hope to make a living out of music, or was that just a hobby?
I think, I don't know. It's hard to sort of. When I was at, I suppose the later years of school, sixth form, and then university, music became kind of everything that I was kind of interested in, and I can't quite remember whether I saw myself making a career out of it. But I knew that that's all I wanted to do with my time, and the career sort of thing kind of we fell into it in a way, didn't we? Yeah. So it's always been about
the were hobbies at the start.
Yeah, but that's how you should start. Really, it's about you do it for the fun and the love of doing it, and not thinking about where it's going, you know, and
and then you get a record deal. And then you start thinking, oh, well, okay. And then but as the study said before, it's been such a slow, nice up. It's been good in that way.
What did you actually study at college, John?
I did a combined degree of music and law. So I was keeping my options open, but my main instrument was trombone. So I think at that stage I was probably looking to go down that road in some way, but at the same time, obviously had a bit of an epiphany by sort of going to Cream. My friend Phil was a resident of Cream when he first started, and he couldn't drive, so I used to drive him up. So at the same time as sort of doing my classical studies, I saw Tony Humphries DJ, and just sort of it was a game changer. And I just thought, it's so competitive in the sort of classical world. I thought, this is new. This is something that's different and new, and that's sort of changed my routine a little bit. We were making music, I finished my degree, but then it changed from being a classical route to a more modern route, which is the one that we took.
And have you never found space for trombone playing in the work of Crazy P?
Yeah, we did early on, didn't we?
Yeah.
But I got it out less and less over the years. Sort of sits in the corner gathering dust now. But it was an important part of my sort of musical upbringing, brass bands and orchestras.
I was going to say, did you? Because brass bands are obviously a massive part of.
Oh yeah, it was like me and my brother were fully into that. I used to play for colliery band in North Wales, and we used to do competitions, and it was a great. And my teacher was a conductor, Fran Boylan. He was just awesome, and it was a really good upbringing. Everybody was much older than me and really supportive and sort of nice. So it was a great start.
Did you ever go to the big brass band final at the Royal?
Well, yes, yeah, we did go to that. On one occasion, I was really young. I don't even know if I was playing in the band at that point, but my brother was. But I remember staying in a really sort of edgy hotel somewhere in London. My memories, but it was, and going to the Albert Hall and seeing these amazing colliery bands. I mean, they made a wonderful sound, and in that place, particularly so. But yeah, it's just something that's obviously faded away as years go by, but an important part.
Yeah. The band that I played in the early 80s, our trombone player was also first trombonist in the Brosworth Colliery Band. So
Right.
I've been to watch him play a few times.
Yeah, it's a great sound.
Well. All right, yeah, especially in there, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, what did you study, Chris?
So I did, it was a degree called Contemporary Arts at Nottingham, essentially specialising in music. You could choose different areas. I chose to be music. And I kind of arrived in Nottingham as a guitarist, pretty average one. But managed to get an audition and got on it. But that was my starting point really, playing a guitar. But the great thing with that course, they had these incredible recording studios in the basement, and they had first time I'd ever seen a sampler. They had like Noel's Akai 1000 and things like that, and that was kind of a bit of an epiphany for me, because sort of that was kind of opened there. I was just suddenly was introduced to this whole new technology, and the kind of guitar got abandoned for about 4 years and didn't touch it. Well, it's not quite true. I did, but I've just my photos just like, wow, it's amazing. Just the house scene in Nottingham as well, which was really vibrant at the time, and just.
Had you not come across that kind of Todd culture stuff until you moved to Nottingham?
Not really. It was dabble. I was always a bit of an indie kid before coming. There was a bit of crossover, with like. Sort of, like the Manchester bands, that indie dance sort of crossover stuff. So I was kind of getting into, like we buy Andrew Weather or Remix and things like that of Happy Mondays, and there was stuff that was sort of like, oh, let's see Spike. And this is, that was my early kind of experience to it, but it was only when I really got to Nottingham that I kind of started going to house nights and stuff, and it was that kind of opened my ears to what was being sampled as well. So that it was like, oh wow, all these disco stuff. And my friend at the time, who I was living with, Nathan, who was a big collector, and we started going to all the second-hand shops in Nottingham and buying stuff, and that was brilliant.
Were there any DJs in particular that kind of caught your ear and inspired you from, you know, because it's so many people used to come home from a club on Saturday night and start getting the equipment out and trying to recollect what they'd heard. Did you have any experiences like that in the early years?
Yeah, I mean, Ralph Lawson, Basics. Miles Holloway and Elliot Eastwood from Hard Times are ones that I distinctly remember. But I think it was like, at the beginning, it was more about the musical output of like labels like Newphonic and Paper and Pagan, which were sort of, you know, channeling that sound that Tony said, sort of sampling old disco, making dance music, and that's something that we thought that sound was wicked. If something that and Fila Brasilia as well, another band, something we really wanted to experiment with, and we only had a sampler at the beginning, so it was like the only way that we could make things sound big. Sample a big sound, you know, that's the only thing that we could do. But yeah, I remember this sat in your place at Goldsmore listening to Ralph Lawson's Essential Mix, which was live from Basics. We were just sat in Nathan's room. I thought, yeah, just took our heads off. He was just so good. And I know Tommy was on after him, and there's a sense of nervousness in Tommy's start after Ralph, because Ralph had just totally destroyed it. And seeing Miles and Elliot as well, because they put it together really well. You know, extended mixes, 2 copies of stuff, and really building the mix up, a lot like the sort of Americans were doing at the time. And that was quite influential.
How did you guys meet?
So it was 95. We got introduced by a mutual friend, basically. Something that Jim had gone to Northampton University College.
Yeah.
And was a friend of mine. And yeah, basically introduced sort of. I think Cheryl bumped into you, didn't she? And said, "Oh, you should come around ours." And
I didn't know it being
didn't the only one. So it was a bit of sort of like come round and Nick and meet a few people, and I was there, and we just hit it off. I think got chatting about music, and because we both had these bedroom setups, didn't we?
We were both starting to make.
Both just starting, and we just started.
It's hard to remember how we moved from just sat having a chat to getting in the studio, but. It must have been an easy transition, I think. And I remember it being very easy. I think it was all based around our musical tastes. And
because it was during that time I was doing my final year, and I know you were involved in my degree show. Maybe that was the start of, because we're kind of like, I think because we started digging deeper than
I think we were at it by anything.
How did house music feature in your degree show, or didn't it?
Oh no, it's why basically. I was fortunate enough that the course that I was on was a new course, and they kept the threshold quite low of what you could do. But so I basically incorporated mine and Jim's first tune together, which is called Digging Deeper. That was part of. So that was a house tune, and we kind of performed it live. Amongst other stuff, so that was so definitely, you know, that.
And I was just 40-second marimba solo. Yeah, but you know, complete silence and this marimba just going mental. It was like, but at the start of things, we just wanted to do shit like that, just sort of, right. We've got a bit of we'll fool people into thinking this is like a normal house tune, and then wallop, take that, you know. We were all
it was like sort of like changing tact.
The element of surprise was big at the start.
halfway through a 10-minute record, getting 2 halves.
Or sometimes 3 halves. If you're lucky, if the source material is good.
How quick did you get interest from labels? When did you sort of start? Did you start sending off demos, and did you know people?
Yeah, it was quick. I think it was the second tune that we did. Phil Cooper, who I've already mentioned, who was DJing at Cream, was quite well connected, and he was sort of our unofficial manager in the beginning. We used to send him everything that we did, and it was super quick. So we sent him these 2 tunes we'd done, and he sort of phoned me in a few days. He said, "Yeah, Paper want to sign it." And at the time, he was getting all the cool paper Provos in brown paper bags, that sort of, factory aesthetic. It's just the coolest label around, and to us, so it was like a total no-brainer. And then after that, they were really keen on us and wanted us to do more. They, asked us to do an album. It just grew from there, really.
And how much stuff had you done before Danielle came into the picture?
Well, we'd done a couple of singles and an album for Paper, and Danielle came on board fairly quickly whilst getting material together for the Wickedest music. So it was quite early on.
Well, how did you two meet her?
I met her at this. She used to live at this famous afters house in Manchester called Hooley Range. It had like about 12 bedrooms. It was absolutely huge. And after the chair, electric chair, everybody used to go back there. We'd made friends with some of that crew, but we didn't know Danielle. But we invariably ended up there for a few late nights. And she was, at the start, she was pretty quiet, but she was a great dancer. She was always there. And then but when we got to know her, it was quite easy to see that she was the sort of the life and soul of the party, and would entertain the extremely large kitchen sat full of people, for extended periods. I remember saying to Tony Gross, I'm going to ask her if she can sing, because if she can sing,
We're in business.
yeah, we're really in here. And she'd done a little bit of singing, not much, but she flirted with it, and was up for it. And again, I just remember that transition being really smooth, and it was just there. She could write, she could. Making music in like a jamming situation is difficult for some people, for some writers. It's not for everyone, but she could do that. You could come up with something quick, and she'd at least get a melody, but sometimes it would just come out fully formed. And immense talent in that sense. It's good.
So did you? I'm assuming that most of what you did before Danielle came on board was mainly kind of sample based.
Yeah.
And was she basically replacing the samples, or did you spill?
Well, it was. Yeah, the timing was good because we'd done a couple of gigs before Danielle. It was just me and Jim, and we were basically. It was on one occasion it was basically take the studio and plug it all in, and then just press play, and then take twiddle a few knobs. We didn't have a clue what we were doing. And then we did another one where it was like the backing track was on a mini disc player, and we were just triggering some. And after that gig, just this is shit. We got to do something. I think, and that sort of. There wasn't a reason why we got Danny, but it was the right time.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
We've realised that we couldn't. It was quite difficult because the nature of the music was very. It was a lot of kind of. It wasn't loopy house stuff. It was quite sort of involved arrangement stuff. It was difficult to know how to do it, and then obviously there's a lot of samples in the early days as well. So. We're both musicians, but it was just limiting to how we could do it. We didn't have much gear either. So
But I don't think it was a conscious plan to write, let's do proper soul formats and make it a band. I think it was just, we wanted to move on in some way from what we've been doing. And Danny gave us that option to, to bring a more stabilised vocal feel rather than just choppy loops.
Had you been already DJing by this stage? I'm guessing that you would have been getting offers for
Yeah, but I didn't do. Yeah,
I
I've been DJing since about '92, and doing various bits. So that was always part of what I was doing. Definitely with you, it was a bit later though, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, it just kind of came. And I was always, I enjoyed. It was more of the sort of the. I enjoyed messing around the people's decks. I was, I bought records and stuff, but it kind of came as a result of putting music out with the sort of DJ opportunities. So it wasn't a world I kind of set off to be part of, really. I was all, it's always from a studio producing kind of thing, but it kind of came later.
You talked about arrangements and how involved the arrangements became. How much of that was influenced by kind of where did you learn about stuff like that? I mean, I know that you both did music at college, but how much does DJing feed into a lot of that?
Oh, it was a lot for me. So, I mean, I was in Northampton at the time and I was buying records from a shop called Wax Factor. And Darren Coates was the owner of the shop, and he had a big night in town, like a 3-floor club. And we used to go to that. We became friendly with him, but we were students. And he just, I think on the strength of the music we'd been buying, there was a few times when he couldn't do the warm-up. And he asked me and my friend Andy to do it. So we ended up in this position where we'd be doing a warm-up on the Saturday night for people like John De Silva and Chad Jackson, John Marsh. And he was really he was a really good teacher, Darren. In terms of warm up, play the length of the record, you can take risks, of course, but make sure you've got plenty of time to pull it back. And, he used to do his little sort of pep talks, and it instilled a good firm set of rules in me, which I think probably transferred to the music making. I mean, particularly in terms of extended, output, because we like it long and extended, and that's probably came from that sort of, playing the length of the record, I guess.
It's quite unusual, isn't it? Because almost everybody I've ever met, certainly from that generation, it's trial and error. And maybe terrible howlers and
But we used to watch Darren. Darren, he was great. He could do it, and he did brilliant ones. When the word playing there. So I mean, you're learning all the time, aren't you? I guess
there's certainly a lot of trial and error involved as well.
We've had a fair amount of error over the years.
But it's you kind of fight. I mean, you certainly kind of intuitively kind of found what works and what doesn't work, and it's still a bit of a mystery, to be honest. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, I mean, you do obviously. And then by your collective successes and failures, it all informs your decision making going forward. But
I think it's much better to take a risk and fail than not take a risk at all. I'm sticking by that.
I've always felt that failure you learn so much more from failure.
Yeah, that's
and it steels you for the next time that you're in the DJ.
Yeah, but also one record can have such a different effect on different floors. So it's like, I remember, I'm thinking of that time in Belfast that I played Brem Central Station. There's this tune called Earthquake. I don't know if you know it. It's like this mental psych rock thing, and I'd heard it at Zumbar in Manchester, and I think Justin Robertson played it or somebody like that. It totally took my head off and it went off. I managed to get a copy of it. I played it in Belfast just to a crowd of totally confused looking young people. At one stage, a girl who was sort of slightly inebriated just put her finger on the record to stop it in the big earthquake feedback bit. She just stopped the record, sort of yearned for a few seconds, and then just took it off again in fear, and then and the record continued. That's one that really I remember. That's
a good point to do it in, though, isn't it?
But there you go. That sounds
off again.
In Zumbar, it was taking the roof off. In Belfast, not so much.
That is something that is a bit strange about. I mean, some records work everywhere.
Yeah.
Not many.
Yeah,
but there's a handful that whenever you've played them, they always work. And there is something strangely magical about, or mystical rather, about records that work sometimes and flop other times.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, have I just cleared the floor with them? Normally you'd be going mad to that.
I know.
That's sort of part of the fun of
it's
doing it, really, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's
as long as you're stamping your personality on what you play, and that's the main thing, you know. Some people aren't going to get it, or like it.
Well, you two have got like loads of different personas. There's White Elephant, there's Crazy P, there's Ron Bass Jam, there's Hot Toddy, Jim. I've probably forgotten a few. How do you separate out those things when you're working on a specific project? Is it a different mindset for each thing, or what defines the?
Yeah, I think he starts to develop a mindset at the beginning. Like, for example, the White Elephant thing. When we started that, we didn't have a clue of what we were going to do. We just knew that we wanted to write together with Ben. And initially it was just about trying stuff out, and we sort of fell back to our usual kind of how we work with Crazy P. But it took a while for that kind of sound to come out. So when we get together as like Elephant, we kind of know what to expect, but we're comfortable with how the dynamics is. We know that no one, you'll play different stuff. Noel's doing one particular job. It's very relaxed. It tends to be a little bit on the laid back side, quite trippy, and that's how it's developed.
Do you ever sit between yourselves and discuss it, or is it just a kind of a natural vibe thing when you're in the studio?
I don't recall us ever discussing it.
No,
in a conscious way.
It certainly that's the way it starts. We'll probably, when we've hit upon something, we all know when we've hit upon something.
Yeah, I mean, Crazy P is quite a defined sound, so everything out of that really I just view as carte blanche. Just like, do what you want. Because it is I guess a side project. The pressure's off really in a way, and so I think that allows you to sort of experiment with styles that you want in, and sort of see if you can branch out and learn new techniques, new production techniques, and be influenced by other styles of music, not just what Crazy P is sort of influenced by. So it's just, I think that as you get older, you want to do that more. You want to expand your horizons and make different sounding stuff. It's just, I just love to learn about how these things are made and see if you can get close, or it's interesting.
And is it different studio equipment that you're employing for different things, or does that change how you approach something, or what the sound might be?
Well, with Ben, I mean, he's really rooted in more an acoustic sound, so I guess that probably would be at the top of it. But really, beyond that, there's no, the palette's the same sort. There's
a lot more. I guess there's more live playing, and I think that when we kind of get together, it's guitars and keys, or guitars and bass. It starts from a live kind of. Ben's usually on the guitar, I'm usually on the guitar, but I mean, there's nothing set up. It's set in stone, because Jim plays guitar as well. So And we all played at keys, not to Jim's standard, but yeah, we all kind of sort of muck in wherever. But it's definitely from that more of a sort of live instrument kind of perspective. But we love our boxes of tricks and stuff still.
What are your favourite box of tricks or knobs?
Should we say knobs? No.
I think so. There's plenty.
I mean, it's nothing too extraordinary, but there's a Space Echo pedal gets used a lot. It's like it's an emulation of the old Rode tape machine Space Echo. They've done a really nice little kind of
Like a foot pedal type.
sort of like a foot pedal. Yeah,
I think gradually we've really got into outboard effects over the years. A lot of our stuff used to be quite dry sounding, and I've got did one of those chroma consoles, those like little effects unit. I buy a lot of pedals now, and I think probably spend a lot of time getting the sound ready before it goes in, before it gets recorded, which probably will in times gone by. Just start. That's a good riff. Let's stick it in, So I think we definitely, effects wise. I mean, I've just got hold of the Syncussion, which is it's a Behringer version of this 80s sort of electronic percussion machine, which is just like I'm just having to drag myself away from every time I'm sat there.
So is it like a drum machine or?
It's not programmable like a drum machine, but it's got two outputs and different waveforms, and then a load of sliders that just make it sound mental. And it's like everything I'm starting at the moment. So, Syncussion. No, because it's so versatile. In fact, I made one tune just totally off that box recently, drums, everything, and it's so that's my current fave.
There's lots of interesting, like small cottage industry companies that have started producing almost quite bespoke stuff as well. There's this company called Field Tone. One of my latest purchases is a thing called the Box of Uncertainty, and it's like this. It looks mint, honestly. It's like some sort of an edition, sort of something from some cult kind of setting kind of thing, and it's a granular soup basically, and you just press a button and record something, and then just start fucking it with these knobs, and it's just totally random. It's brilliant, but for
Might even lose a couple of hours.
no, when I was just me, I remember Julie and Sophie, the three of us were just on it for about 4 hours before we leave here. Just come on, my God.
Easily convinced.
When you started something like Ron Bass Show, was that just because it was stuff that didn't fit anywhere else? Or how,
Yeah,
was the thing of Winding Road? Was that the first Ron Bass Show for the people?
Yeah, that's it. I think I was just harking back a bit more to the early Crazy P stuff, which was sort of that collage sample sound, which obviously when we started working with Danielle, we did less of, and but I still really enjoy it. So Ron was a bit of a vehicle for that, just sort of, still playing a lot on top of it, but really I love that, sticking things together and creating something sonically very different, and potentially breaking some rules by doing it, so we, harmonic rules or melodic rules, but it's right, it just works. And that's something that that really interests me. And Ron, he stays in that, sort of settled in that channel now.
Yeah. I mean, you did something similar with the early kind of hot toddy stuff.
Yeah, it's the same.
I mean,
the early hots. Yeah, it's
I seem to remember the first album I had, like you used that Billy Squire drum break.
Yeah.
That I think got used on an early grime record as well.
Yeah, it was on there.
I've got
Dizzy
Rascal.
Yeah. No, it was similar to Jim. It was like the early stuff was very sample based, and it was just the love of. I think that's how we kind of got into the love, the initial, and still is. We had this real it's excitement about digging for samples and putting them together. It's such great fun. So yeah, I mean it's I don't know. It's sort of the early stuff's a bit more like that, and I kind of don't know. It's sort of got.
I think you really know for your remixes as well, are you? 'Cause you've done some really cracking remixes over the years, which probably not based sample.
Yeah. I suppose I I've kind of got into, I don't know. Yeah, just sort of.
You definitely had a run where you were hitting the spot. For every single time. That kind of open for what's it called? Open
for service.
For service around that period.
Yeah, and before that as well. I still play a lot of them.
Yeah, I mean, I play open service. I'm still playing that now.
Yeah.
When you DJ as a duo, what changes compared to when you play on your own? How do you accommodate each other and your tastes and approach to playing? Does it happen naturally?
Yeah.
Or do you have to kind of like elbow?
No. We've been doing it long enough, haven't we?
Yeah, well, I think, but what's been interesting is because since Danny dies, obviously the DJ stuff has taken, that's been our main thing really. And prior to that, me and Jim have DJed together, but it's been fairly far and few between.
Yeah, we'd usually be on our own.
We'd used to be on our own, or it would be a sound system gig with Danielle, either me or Jim. So the last year and a half or so, it's been a lot of the gigs have been together, and we've been doing quite long sets, and we've been doing back to back. So it's been by 3 on 3 off, and it's been great.
Yes,
we are really, that's why we got together.
I think we know how to move it around. But it's like also interesting that when Toddy moved from Nottingham up to Todmorden, to the Valley of Chug, his taste is slightly. Would you agree with this? Is slightly changed.
No, it's
Really?
Well, Chris has brought in a heavier techie sound, which I love as well, but probably have less of. So it's just about making these things work with whatever what we would play normally, disco, house, and then fitting these little bits in. And I think we know when it's time to move it or when it's time to shift. I'd like to think so anyway. Yeah.
When you do it, how much of your own material do you play? Because I know quite a lot of producers, by the time they've finished doing something, are so sick of hearing it that they can hardly bring themselves to play it. Pete Heller used to give me a lot of stuff and say, "Can you tell me if this is proper or not?" Because I don't know.
Yeah.
And he just couldn't face playing it.
I think for us, we've did the DJ thing. We've really concentrated on trying to make as much stuff as we can for those sets, to play in those sets. So it's bespoke and it's something different, and something that other people haven't got.
Yeah.
So are you talking about like new productions,
stuff that's not available, and that stuff's like you don't really tire of playing it, and unless you've been rinsing it a bit too much. But as far as the back catalogue, we probably stay well clear of it if we didn't have to kind of play a couple for fans who were there.
You get lynched if you don't.
Yeah, you were expected to play.
Well, it's a bit hassle, yeah. I mean,
people want to hear. It's very, it's nice. People want to hear, some of the bigger crazy peaches.
What are the things that get the most requests?
Oh, you'd be surprised. All sorts. I had a request on Instagram yesterday for Phonox to play Night Rain.
I get that quite a lot.
Especially with like a really
soft. Now people that hold the phones happening a lot now. Like play Night Rain, play that's like fucking hell. It's like
this is
100 beat per
I was killing the vibe. But I think Tony's right. I think we've talked about it, and I think it's, I think I agree. We probably wouldn't go near it if. But I think to play a couple of old ones in the space of 2 hours is acceptable, and it's the reaction when we play something old is always fantastic. So it ain't so bad.
Yeah, I guess it's a little bit irresistible, isn't it? It's gonna be a crowd please.
Yeah. But the new stuff is like we sort of have waves coming up to the summer months. So at the moment, we're really working hard on getting stuff for the summer coming up. You know, make sure we've got plenty of weapons, what we consider weapons in the box.
You and I were talking a couple of weeks ago, and you were talking about stuff that you've been doing as Crazy P, and I'm wondering how you coped with Danielle's death, and I mean, it sent such a shockwave among everybody that knew her that I think it just knocked everybody for six. How did you guys cope with something as awful as that, in terms of creatively and personally and?
Yeah, it's a tough one to answer that. I think we took a lot of strength from our friendships, non-musical, you know, with the band, but with no pressure, and it's been a slow and arduous process, a roller coaster, but it's getting, it's becoming more manageable.
The first few months were just, I didn't really know what the hell was going on, and wasn't really, basically just sort of, it's similar to what Jim's saying, taking a lot of strength in friends, in the community, of people around, especially in Tottenham. There's some great people there, and I was just walking a lot, getting fresh air, and just wasn't doing any music. But then, and I didn't really know whether we wanted to, but and then we decided to start trying there was a lot of offers coming in for the DJ shows, and we decided to let's just give it a go and see how we feel. And thankfully, they've all been, pretty much all of them have been positive experiences.
I think we're grateful to a few. Obviously, we worked with the same promoters for many years. They've been really, really supportive, and sort of, been picking the phone up, saying, "Come on, lads, whenever you're ready, let's get you back on the horse, so to speak." So really grateful for that. That's really helped things. But I think, in terms of musically, we got together with the band. We went to stay at the foot of Snowdon just because we bet together, really. But we took some instruments, and it was, like Tubby says, you just don't know. One day you just don't really want, you're not interested. Other days you can be, and the week we had there was it was quite affirming, and
that was with the live band, people like Matt.
That was with Matt and Tim.
Yeah.
And obviously Matt is a fantastic chef. He has a restaurant in Deptford, and we've been gifted a leg of lamb from the farmer next door, and so we were eating like kings, and it was just really, really nice hanging out. And the music was a bit of a byproduct of that. But that said, we had a lot of fun jamming, and we came out of that week with, a lot of material. Not necessarily knowing where it's going to go, but with a lot of, stuff. So, I mean, that was really, really helpful. Again, in the process of working out whether we want to carry on at all. That was really helpful to me to say, do you know what? Let's keep going. It's going to be different. She's irreplaceable. We're never going to get another singer to sing her songs. It would just never happen. So let's just see what we can do and try and move forward bit by bit.
What are you most proud of in your career so far? You've been at it for 30 years now. That's quite.
Sorry, Jim. One thing that I always get a bit of pride in is, when you sort of hear on the radio of tours that the people are doing around England, and they mention venues. More often than not, we played at pretty much all of them. And I get a little bit, we've done pretty more, 99% of the, or 95% of the time we played it. It's like I get that sort of, wow, we've done all right, haven't we? We've really had quite a fruitful live kind of touring schedule over the years, and really kind of got stuck in. So that's something I always get a little tickle from.
Yeah, I think it's just the whole thing now. You're going to the big picture now, and you just think the whole thing is just extremely lucky, and we've done really well, considering our music might be considered niche, and not the most dynamic. I feel like where we got to, is we've done fantastically well. And like I said earlier, it's like being on the same journey together with your mates is quite something, and it's something that I'll always value and be proud of.
What are the most interesting places you've been to DJ or perform at, like either countries or clubs or cities?
So we just had a mad one, didn't we, in Australia? I mean, we've done quite a lot of big live gigs, but DJ-wise, we played to 12,000 people in the Golden Plains Festival. The reason I know that is because it's a festival with only one stage. So it's like, they've been going for 17 years, so the crowd are invested in this, and it's the way it is. So, and the show programming is mental. So you go like quartet to like a Japanese rockabilly band, and it's just a nuts place. So we were out there a few weeks ago, and we were off the Basement Jacks at midnight on the Sunday, and of course they were like a carnival's wet dream, and it was just like the most dynamic thing you've ever heard. And then we were sort of backstage going, okay. But it went really, it was great. But I mean, that was, in terms of the amount of people, I'd never DJed to that amount of people in New York Square, yeah.
How do you start a set like that, knowing that you're coming on after someone like Basement Jacks and their incredible live show?
Stick a banger, Crazy P. Hits
I think it was as simple as that. We started with the Crazy P tune. Yeah,
get them on our side quickly.
Yeah, but I mean, really, like people were saying, people will just want you to do what you do, which is groove. It's like it actually worked out. They've been having dynamics smashed in their face for the last 4 or 5 hours, and when we came on, I think it was probably a bit of like relief, something to sort of get into and have a groove to. So. Yeah, it worked. And
I'm making this up, but didn't you have quite a lot of early success in Australia?
Yeah, we did.
Like before the UK?
Yeah.
So what time was that when that happened? And how did it happen?
It was the second album, Wiki's Music. It initially got picked up, playlisted on their Triple J radio station. I sort of put the equivalent to Radio 1 at the time.
Right.
So Richard Fearling, I think it's Fearling or Searling, he was like their sort of John Peely, some like character. He got right behind it. Universal licensed the record from paper. So we ended up having this sort of...
Yeah, it was like our main territory for like, I don't know,
10 years. Yeah, and going from like 50 people to like 1,500 venues. It was quite a steep learning curve.
And we going out there and doing like live tours?
We were doing live, yeah.
And what did a live performance consist of then?
Well, I thought, yeah.
Yeah, what did we? First one wasn't with Matt, was it?
No.
So the first one, I mean, again, it kind of shaped up the lineup in a lot of ways, because we didn't have a drummer on the first one. The drums and the backing, we had a DAT machine, and that was the lineup for the first 30 years.
Which worked.
It worked, yeah. But I think we realised we needed some, the dynamics of a drummer, and the next one we had Matt on board, and he's been on board since. So,
but yeah, it's quite a strange feeling of being on your arse at home, and then turning up for this everybody expects you to be some sort of pop star. And you couldn't be farther from the truth. You just have to sort of try and blend in and act like you can get away with it, which I think we did for a few years. But it was an interesting period. But I mean, it's nice that following that, at home and in Europe, things have really taken off. So it's great to be, loved in your home country, isn't it, as well?
So what's your kind of biggest territory for Crazy P music now, would you say?
That's probably a year.
Yeah, she came.
Really?
Yeah, which is great. Thankful for, it's still, seemingly getting good crowds in Australia. The tour we did in March was amazing.
I think we have a lot of listeners globally. So the numbers say, it's not that I've said look at the numbers, but I'm told. Yeah, it's travelled well, our sound. So yeah.
I guess that's one of the great things about one of not many great things about Spotify, but the idea that anyone anywhere in the world can discover your music.
That's it. And we haven't been to Australia for a few years, and things have dropped off there. Our appeal had become more selective, and we didn't quite know what to expect this time around, because the gigs have never been in the last few years. They've never, but it was a real big surprise this time. Yeah, clearly we've got a lot of listeners there, and it's not sort of defined by radio play or any sort of commercial success, which is the best possible thing, because we've never really been lucky with radio play. And I think that's...
Which makes the Spotify numbers so remarkable. I remember having a look, and there's there's a lot of traction on Spotify.
Absolutely. And that's what's considered important now. Yeah, I guess to some people, but it's done as well, I think. Yeah.
You live in different places now. You live in Yorkshire. You're still in Nottingham area. How has technology changed the way that you work over the years? Do you swap stuff between you, or how do you do that?
Yeah, we do, and it's become. I mean, it's really helped facilitate that long distance working relationship. And when we still get in the studio, that's always going to be an integral part. But you can do a hell of a lot remotely, sending ideas. Like we've done it a few times, but we did the Asher Cutley remix, which basically both starting our own ideas. It was a bit like, when you do the stick man and you fold the paper over. You the idea or fold it over, send it over, do some cool work.
But I mean, if you've got it in the cloud, you can nearly be working at the same time on the same arrangement.
Yeah.
So that's the way we do things now. So we have, we can be chipping away separately before we come together. It's very easy. Yeah. Just sticking ideas in.
And is that I think you did 3 mixes for that project. So is that how you end up with so many?
That's it. Yeah.
They were both the two different ideas. Essentially, were the ones one was mine, one was June's, and then we swapped over, and then just thought, wow, they're both good. So let's just...
We're never going to do anything with the other one, and they loved it. So yeah, let's just stick it all out.
What's the difference between that and kind of going to Wales and all sitting in a room together and stuff? What's the how does that work psychologically?
Well, I think there's obviously more room to experiment on your own. So probably the hit rate's better.
Really?
Well, I mean, I don't know really. We've been fortunate working with the same lads for so many years. It's like you get in tune with them. So it's a bit of a compromise, because you've got 5 people who all got great ideas, and I think obviously what you get working on your own is you have the space to explore something that you might feel a bit, oh god, I'm going to really piss off Jim if I start tweaking these hi-hats anymore, or whatever, whereas with my own I can do it for a week. And vice versa.
Exactly. So that's a bit of, that's why the remote things is good, because you can really kind of, disappear down your own rabbit hole a little bit. But being in a room with other people, or if it's just being Jim, you kind of keep each other in check a bit. So it's like a bit of a different process, isn't it?
It is very different.
And obviously you got the 2 ideas and the way that your musicality sort of interacts, which on its own, without that, you end up creating something unique together that we wouldn't do on your own.
But also I think as time's gone on, we've got very much got the frame of mind where it's always great to stick it in, just not worry too much, early on. If you think it's good, get it in, let someone listen tomorrow and see if it's any good or not, So if you're not that precious early on in process and just get everything down, get everything in, then it's quite easy to make sense. It was easier to make sense of it as you go along.
So take me through the process of like, how would you write a song typically? How many different ways are there of writing a song? You know, what's the starter? Did you watch the Beatles documentary?
Yes, yeah, I did.
And Paul McCartney, when he started, I think it's Get Back, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Get Back album.
Literally, like...
Well, Let It Be as well is a similar thing. He's just sort of at the piano, isn't it?
I mean, that is just unbelievable alchemy. I mean, I'm not suggesting for a minute that, you know, you guys are emulating Paul McCartney, but just what are the techniques that you use to start a song or write a song?
I mean, it can be like that, where you're just following your nose, you know, and just feeling your way until you get something. It can happen like that. There are many ways. It's way apart from that. It could be a concept, it could be a sample, could be a drum beat, even. So it's
It might just be a jam or something. But I mean, I don't really sort of sit down and try and write songs too much. I did when I was a 15-year-old and was writing angsty teenage, trying to kind of copy Tony Roses and stuff. But I mean, I've got the tape somewhere. Jim's much more of a, he's a solo stuff, so that, songwriter. But I don't think I'll ever be a songwriter. I like messing around with gear and samples, and occasionally we'll put some vocals down. But it's we jam a lot of mine in that sort of and in that sort of sense, it's kind of the starting points can be like June says. It can be a sample and there's a little drum pattern you just mess around with. It's really that we don't go in with a set.
No, I mean, in case of like One True Light, something like that, it was just I think I was in the live room, not messing about with the samples, and it was like got two together. It was just straight into the control room. It was like, right, Tony. And we worked in for about 4 or 5 hours, and so that was just purely off the samples, and then we put the music on top. So that's quite a popular way, but there's definitely no hard and fast rules in relation to that. And it's not a conscious thing either, I don't think.
What would you think of Arthur Russell's first thought, best thought kind of method?
Yeah.
Was it?
I think that
Think it has some validity.
I think that speaks to what I'm saying about sort of not worrying too much about the early part of the process.
And plus, keep the record going.
Please,
because there's so much. And often, there's times when we've gone back to the first takes on a crap mic that that Danny put down, and we've tried to re-record it, and it's not.
If Live Committee is raised, example of that. That was the original. We've done a DJH037, and then we tried expensive, recording on a posh mic. It was just about capturing that moment of conception where we all thought it was the absolute business, and she thought it was the absolute business. And there's something in that performance.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter. And the performance is the main thing.
Yeah,
not how it sounds.
So I think it's a good shout by Arthur.
And that big Kylie Minogue hit, Can't Get You Out My Head.
Yes,
that was a demo. I interviewed him. It's the guitar player out of Mud that wrote that song. And he said that he tried to, having done the demo, tried to do a big studio production, and he just couldn't get the vibe that he got with that, and that ended up being...
I think you have to try. You've got to go there to come back, so to speak. I think we do spend a bit of time. Well, pretty quick.
Yeah.
After a few hours of sticky stuff in there when nothing's working, then you empty it all out. Yeah, that's it. That's how it should be.
Mm-hmm. Right, final question. Where do you see yourselves being in 10 years' time?
Right.
Look into your...
I'll be
retired in my vegetable allotment growing past.
Yeah, he lives a good life these days, Tony, at the top of the valley.
We've just got an allotment as well on our estate, so we're quite excited about potatoes and parsnips.
It's not quite Motley Crue, is it?
I started growing vegetables last year. It's amazing. The first radish that I picked out, I was so chuffed about this radish. I just cut it into little slices and made a little radish salad. What is it?
It's like Richard Bryars in The Good Life. And,
I've actually, yeah, forget about like 10 years later. It's already, I'm already there. So yeah.
yeah, it's difficult. It's a difficult one, that. I mean, the thing is, if you'd have asked us when we first started making music, I thought I'll never be doing this after I'm 40. I mean, who does that? But the goalposts have moved, haven't they? Because I guess the acid house generation are the first generation. So there's no rules in relation to that. So I think as long as I feel fit and happy, be cracking on.
And out of all of the things that you do, which would be the easiest to give up, and which would be the hardest to give up?
Oh gosh. Well, I suppose. I mean, I'd like to still think in 10 years' time I'll still be making music in me. It's probably home studio or something. That's something that I always love. So I mean, it does. When you think 10 years down the line, will I be able to sustain the same level of touring that we're doing now? Probably not. That's something that would probably be able to wind back without too much resistance. Because it is quite hard. And also it's as enjoyable as it is. I probably. Yeah, it'd be nice to spend a bit more time in the studio.
I think that's the dream, isn't it? Yeah, I was saying a big cardigan.
Yeah.
Sort of fiddling around.
The Valduna.
The Valduna, that's it. Just sort of not having to leave. And that was the great thing about lockdown, just that concentrated period of just studio time. I think that's definitely my happy place.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
That's brilliant. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thanks for listening to the DJ History podcast. If you enjoy these interviews, it would help us enormously if you could rate or leave reviews for our show. Also, if you're on social media, we'd appreciate it if you could increase the love by sharing these shows to your followers. We don't have a big budget to promote these, so we're relying on you to help us get the word out. Big love from the DJH crew.